What makes the state of Arizona so special? Known as the Copper State, or Grand Canyon State, Arizona is one of the newer American states, as it became the 48th state on the 14th of February 1912. As Arizona is one of the newer states in the Union, there is much you may or may not know about this southwestern state. And, in this video, we will examine several interesting facts, stories, and fascinating truths about the state of Arizona. But before we begin, if you like this video, please click the like button as this helps with the YouTube algorithm. And please subscribe to our channel, so you can be the first to see more videos, just like this one. Thousands of years ago, long before Arizona became a state, it was home to many ancient native tribes. These native civilizations included the Hohokam, Mogollon, and ancestral Puebloan cultures. Many of the pueblos and cliffside dwellings that these ancient civilizations used, along with rock paintings and prehistoric treasures, have managed to survive, and now attract tourists who visit the state every year. The first European to come to the area was Marcos de Nazar, a Spanish Franciscan who arrived in the area in 1539. As he explored the state, he made connections with the native tribes. Then from 1540 to 1542, Spanish explorer Coronado came to the area, hoping to find the seven cities of Cibola, otherwise known as the Seven Cities of Gold. The Seven Cities of Cibola was based on a mythology that revolved around the pueblos of Nuevo Mexico, or today's New Mexico. It was believed that this area was replete with limitless riches, and this belief came from reports given by four shipwrecked survivors, which included Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca, who was part of the failed Navies expedition of 1527. Cabeza de Vaca spent 8 years traveling in the area that is now the U.S. Southwest. He was a trader and faith healer to various Native American tribes. When he returned to Mexico, he wrote stories about his encounters with the natives in the area, but his tales were greatly exaggerated, which Coronado discovered for himself on his own explorations. There were no great riches here, at least not of gold. Instead, the land was the real source of the area's wealth and beauty. The first Europeans to settle in the area were the Spanish. The first of these Spanish settlers was José Romo de Vivar, who was a rancher and miner. The next to come was Jesuit minister Father Kino. Kino led several missions to the region, converting many of the natives he encountered to Christianity. He arrived in 1690 and stayed through the early 18th century. After that, Spain built a few fortified towns, or presidios, at Tubac in 1752, and Tucson in 1775. Then when Mexico achieved its independence from Spain and the Spanish Empire in 1821, the area that is now Arizona became part of New California. During the Mexican-American War in 1847, the U.S. Army occupied the national capital of Mexico City and pursued its claim to northern Mexico. This included the territory of New Mexico in 1850. The southern part of the region seceded from the Union in 1862, joining the Confederate States officially on the 18th of January 1862. Jefferson Davis approved and signed the act to organize the Territory of Arizona, marking this the first official use of the name, Territory of Arizona. Arizona supplied the Confederate government with men, horses, and equipment. Arizona had the westernmost military engagement of the Civil War, with the Battle of Picaco Pass in 1862. The Union won this battle, and after the skirmish, the Union Army was able to enter Tucson without opposition. In February 1863, the Union organized its own territory of Arizona, dividing New Mexico along the state's current north-south border. These new boundaries would later form the basis of the state of Arizona. The first territorial capital, Prescott, was founded in 1864. The capital would then move to Tucson, back to Prescott for a time, and finally to Phoenix. Brigham Young, the leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, sent Mormons from their home in Utah to Arizona in the mid-19th century. These Mormon settlers founded the cities of Mesa, Snowflake, Heber, and Safford. They also settled in the Phoenix Valley, Tempe, Prescott, and other areas of the Arizona Territory. The Mormons settled in the area that would eventually become part of both northern Arizona and northern New Mexico. At that time, all of these areas were still part of the former New Mexico Territory. During the 19th century, there was a series of both silver and gold rushes in the territory. The most well-known of these rushes were the 1870s stampede to the silver bonanzas of Tombstone, Arizona. At the time, Tombstone was also well known for its legendary outlaws and lawmen. These included the Earp brothers, along with Doc Holliday, and cowboy outlaws Ike and Billy Clanton, Frank, and Tom McClory, and Billy Claiborne. The conflicts between the Earps and the outlaw cowboys culminated in the infamous OK Corral gunfight. The boom and subsequent busts of these gold and silver mining towns left an abundance of ghost towns across the territory. But copper mining flourished. The territory was soon producing more copper than any other state by 1907. This earned Arizona the nickname of the Copper State. Arizona finally achieved its statehood on the 14th of February 1912. It was the last contiguous state of the Union. As Arizona grew, its economy relied on the 5 C's. This included copper, cotton, cattle, citrus, and the climate. But these industries suffered during the Great Depression. Then in the 1920s through to the 1930s, tourism became an important industry in the state. Dude ranches began to crop up, giving tourists the taste of the Old West, which they eagerly ate up. This new tourist industry brought with it an influx of upscale hotels and resorts to the state. During World War II, Arizona became the site of German prisoner of war camps and Japanese internment camps. The unfounded wartime fears of a possible Japanese invasion of the West Coast spurred the construction of these internment camps. The government forced American citizens of Japanese descent into the camps. Because of their forced internment, these Japanese Americans lost their homes and businesses, forever changing their lives. This was a deep injustice to persons who were no less American than any other citizen of the United States. The internment camps were abolished shortly after the war. The Phoenix area German POW site was purchased after the war by the Maytag family. The Maytag family started the famous Maytag Appliance Company. This land would become the site of the Phoenix Zoo. The Phoenix Zoo was opened in 1962. It is currently the largest privately owned, non-profit zoo in the United States. It operates on 125 acres of land and has been designated as a Phoenix Point of Pride. Phoenix was also the home of the Phoenix Indian School, which was built as one of several federal Indian boarding schools that were designed to assimilate Native American children into mainstream European American culture. Children were often enrolled in these schools against the wishes of their parents and families. Attempts to suppress the Native identities of these children included forcing them to cut their hair, to take and use English names, and also forcing them to speak only English. Plus, they were required to practice Christianity rather than their native religions. During World War II, many Native Americans fought in the war. Their war experiences helped to spur activism among the Native American communities of Arizona. They spent those years working hard to achieve better treatment and more civil rights for their communities. The Arizona Native Americans fought and won the right to vote, and won that right in 1948. Arizona's population grew exponentially after the war. This brought more residential and business communities to the area. With the intense heat, there also became wider use of air conditioning, which helped to make that intense heat more tolerable, and helped with spurring the growth of the state. Arizona also became a great place to retire. In the 1960s, retirement communities began to sprout up throughout the state, which helped to bring an influx of retired persons to Arizona. Arizona has continued to remain a top state to retire to. Many of these retired persons will flock to the state during the cooler months, as they purchase a second home in one of the many Arizona retirement communities. These types of retired individuals are called snowbirds. There are so many great facts and stories about Arizona. Here are just some of the more fascinating ones. Arizona is home to a large number of magnificent national parks. Some of the better known of these national parks are the Mesa Verde National Park, Saguaro National Park, Zion National Park, Petrified Forest National Park, and of course, the biggest and one of the best-known national parks in the world, the Grand Canyon National Park. The Grand Canyon is 277 miles long and up to 18 miles wide. For over 5,000 years, people lived in the Grand Canyon. This is longer than anyone has lived, uninterruptedly, in the Colorado Plateau. The Pueblo people considered the Grand Canyon a holy site and made pilgrimages to it. Mules are still used to deliver mail in the Grand Canyon. And the Grand Canyon is considered one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. The Arizona Sonoran Desert is the only place on Earth where the iconic saguaro cactus grows. It takes up to 100 years to grow just one arm of the plant. It is illegal to cut down the saguaro cactus plant. Actually, if you are foolish enough to cut down this endangered cactus plant, it can get you up to 25 years in prison. Arizona is also home to two top-rated waterfalls in the United States. These include Grand Falls and Havasu Falls. The Rocky Mountains go through the state of Arizona, with the highest peak being Humphreys Peak, which stands at 12,637 feet. Arizona is actually the sunniest state in the United States. Florida, which calls itself the Sunshine State, is actually only the fourth sunniest state. Phoenix is the hottest city in the United States. The average summer high in Phoenix generally goes from 100 to 106 degrees Fahrenheit on any given day. Though Arizona is considered a very hot state, it does have a diverse climate, with the upper elevation cities, such as Flagstaff, Sedona, and Prescott, getting quite a bit of snow during the winter. Phoenix is the largest state capital in the United States. It is one of the most well-known state capitals, and has the highest population of any state capital in the Union. This is not for the squeamish, but did you know that Arizona has 13 species of rattlesnakes? This is more than in any other state in the Union. Arizona also has the Gila monster, which is the only venomous lizard in the United States. Scorpions are also very common in the state. So if you visit the state of Arizona, just be careful where you walk. You never know what deadly creature you might encounter, so be careful. Arizona does not observe daylight savings time. They do not change their clocks. Officially, they are considered to be in the Mountain Time Zone, but from March through November, most of Arizona becomes part of the Pacific Time Zone, along with California and the rest of the West Coast. Arizona is part of the Four Corners Monument. The Four Corners Monument stands in the spot where 4 states come together. The 4 states that make up the Four Corners Monument are Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. It's a real kick to stand there and find yourself being in 4 states at one time. In an area northeast of Flagstaff, in what is now known as the Cinder Hills OHV area, are the remnants of the Cinder Lakes crater fields. This area was designed to duplicate the surface of the Moon, and was used to train the astronauts that flew in the Apollo missions of the 1960s and 70s. The craters in this area range in diameter from 5 to 40 feet. The craters helped with the testing of the rover prototypes that were used on the surface of the Moon. In 1962, Robert McCulloch, who was the real estate developer that founded Lake Havasu City, discovered that the London Bridge, which was originally built in 1831 and spanned the River Thames in London for over 100 years, was being sold. McCulloch decided to purchase it and put it up at Lake Havasu City. He used the old London Bridge to link up the mainland to Pittsburgh Point. He rededicated the London Bridge on the 10th of October 1971. The bridge became a tourist attraction and was instrumental in bringing more people to the area. McCulloch also built an English village, which was an open-air mall. It had a maze and historical museum and was built in a faux English style. Though after a time, parts of the mall deteriorated, and sections of it, and the village, were eventually leveled. The location of the old English village is being revitalized, with condos going in, where parts of the mall once stood. In August 1884, cowboys throughout the Southwest gathered together in Pay Sun, Arizona, to participate in the first Pay Sun Rodeo. The first rodeo was held in a midtown pasture, which is now the site of the Pay Sun Sawmill Crossing. A few ranchers and cowboys gathered together to see how their roping and riding skills matched up compared to those of their compatriots. Horse racing, bronco riding, roping events, and silver dollar pitching were the first contests at this rodeo event. For years after the first Pay Sun Rodeo, Prescott, Arizona, held a larger rodeo that was bigger and a much better organized event. The Prescott Rodeo was actually the first worldwide rodeo. The Pay Sun Rodeo was really more for the local cowboys to participate in. But the Pay Sun Rodeo continues to this day, and it is considered the longest-running rodeo in the world. The film adaptation of the musical Oklahoma was filmed in Arizona in 1955. The reason it was filmed in Arizona and not in Oklahoma was that at that time, there was not enough undeveloped land left in Oklahoma. Thus, Arizona was the best location to do the filming. Fun fact, The actual Surrey used in the film is on display in Jerome State Historic Park in Jerome, Arizona. Now, if you like hummingbirds, then Arizona is the place to find them. The state is overrun by hummingbirds. There are more of these beloved birds in Arizona than in any other state in the Union. Biosphere 2 is an American Earth research science system located in Oracle, Arizona. It was constructed between 1987 and 1991. The first mission in this artificial, materially enclosed ecological system lasted for 2 years, from the 26th of September 1991 to the 26th of September 1993. There were 8 crew members that stayed in the biodome for those 2 years, conducting various ecological experiments and learning how to live and function in a fully productive, enclosed environment. That mission was, for the most part, considered a modest success. The biosphere is still used today by the University of Arizona. It is now mainly used to learn how to live and function with climate change. You can take a tour of the biosphere if you are ever in the area. The Miranda warning, which is used by police when making an arrest, was the result of a Supreme Court judgment made because of an arrest that happened in 1963 to Phoenix citizen Ernesto Miranda. Ernesto was arrested by the police and brought in for questioning after being accused of kidnapping and rape. He spent 2 hours being interrogated, and he gave a written confession after that long interrogation. The confession was admitted as evidence and he was convicted for the crime. His defense attorney objected to this forced confession, as Ernesto was not made aware of his rights as a citizen, to be able to refrain from incriminating himself or to speak to the police without a lawyer present. Ernesto took his case to the Supreme Court, and they ruled in his favor. From that landmark ruling, it became necessary to read a person who was being arrested their rights, now called your Miranda rights, which was named after Ernesto Miranda. This law is now faithfully executed by most arresting officers. The taser was invented in 1974 by NASA employee Jack Cover in Scottsdale. Did you know that taser is an abbreviation for the full name of the weapon, which is actually called Tom A. Swift Electric Rifle? The use of rubberized asphalt concrete as a pavement material was pioneered by the city of Phoenix in the 1960s because of its high durability. Since then, it has proven to also be able to reduce road noise and is used across the country to repave roadways and highways. In 1930, at the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Clyde Tombaugh discovered the planet Pluto. For a long while, Pluto was considered one of the planets in our solar system, but it has since been downgraded to a dwarf planet, not necessarily attached to our solar system at all. Dendrochronology, which is better known as tree dating, was developed in Flagstaff by astronomer A.G. Douglas. Douglas founded the Laboratory of Tree Ring Research at the University of Arizona. He sought to better understand cycles of sunspot activity and reasoned that changes in solar activity would affect climate patterns on Earth, which would subsequently be recorded by tree ring growth patterns. The first successful surgery using an artificial heart was conducted at the University Medical Center in Tucson. The surgery was completed by Dr. Jack Copeland in 1985. The patient, Michael Drummond, remained on the artificial heart for 9 days, using the Jarvik 7 total artificial heart. Drummond eventually got a donor heart to replace the artificial heart. Though, unfortunately, Mr. Drummond died only 5 years later, at the age of 30. The Phoenix Mars lander was the first mission to Mars. It was led by the academic institution, the University of Arizona. The Mars lander was launched into space in 2008. The Phoenix Mars lander was the first to confirm the presence of water ice on Mars. There are many famous people who came from Arizona. Here are just a few of them. Cartoonist, Bill Keane. Author, Clive Cussler. Actor, Rex Allen. Steve Allen. Jamie Lynn Bauer. Sandra Bernhard. Actor, Michael Biehn. Comedian Aidy Bryant. Brooke Burke. Linda Carter. Ted Danson. Rosemary DeCamp. Andy Devine. Barbara Eden. Actor, Jack Elam. Michael Ensign. Sami Hanratty. Catherine Hicks. Earl Hindman. Josh McDermott. Mary Louise Parker. Valerie Perrine. Busy Phillips. Jennifer Rubin. Gary Shandling. Faye Spain. Emma Stone. Janet Varney. Kate Walsh. Mayor Winningham. Journalist, Savannah Guthrie. Radio personality, Don Imus. Football player, Pat Tillman. Singer, Glenn Campbell. Singer, Alice Cooper. Dwayne Eddy. Singer, Esteban. Waylon Jennings. The Jonas Brothers. Singer, Wayne Newton. Stevie Nicks. Buck Owens. Marty Robbins. Linda Ronstadt. Jordan Sparks. Tanya Tucker. Race car driver, Danica Patrick. Baseball player, Kurt Schilling. Golfer, Phil Mickelson. Football player, Ken Stabler. Jim Palmer. Olympic gymnast, Carrie Strug. Civil rights activist, Cesar Chavez. Senator, Barry Goldwater. Senator, John McCain. Vice President, Dan Quayle. Supreme Court Justice, Sandra Day O'Connor. Wyatt Earp. Virgil Earp. Doc Holliday. The Apache Kid. Bat Masterson. Geronimo. And Billy the Kid. Thanks again for watching this episode of What Makes the State of Arizona So Special. If I missed anything, or if you want to share your own interesting facts about the state of Arizona, please leave a comment below. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, please look out for more videos of this kind. We intend to highlight all 50 states and U.S. territories. Stay tuned for more videos, and please share them with your friends. Thanks again, and see you soon.